A very good morning to you. How are you doing? It's Wednesday. Financial Clinic on Jam 316 Karibu Sana. I've put the bench outside as always. I've sanitized the bench. Mkai pole pole msisukumane one by one. We are living in a very interesting season right now, and a lot of people have been affected financially. People have lost jobs. People have had to shut down their businesses. And it seems like end of the road. If you've ever been in that situation where you lost a job or you lost a business and you're looking right, left, you can't see a way out. Even putting food on the table becomes an issue. You know, those things you hardly thought about become things that now worry you. You hardly thought about bus fare or money for fuel. You hardly thought about rent. You hardly thought about food on the table. But now those are the issues that are weighing you down and depressing you. And sometimes you get to that space and you wonder, is there light at the end of the tunnel? Will I ever get out of this situation? Well, I have a guest who will be talking to us today, sharing her story of how she hit rock bottom and how she was able to build back again, just to encourage you and to let you know there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's not over until God says it is over. And so if you're one of the people I'm talking to this morning, you lost a job, you had to shut down your business, your finances have been greatly affected by this pandemic, and making ends meet is becoming an issue, this testimonial for today is for you, to encourage you and to remind you all things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose. So leo ni Wednesday inakuwaga siku ya kliniki ya mfuko, financial clinic, and today I have an amazing guest in studio via Zoom, Daisy Nyaga. Daisy, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Pastor James, for having me.
It's good to have you on the show this morning. We can't wait to hear your story. Yours is a story of encouragement and resilience. So where do we begin? Tuanzie mwanzo.
Yes, I think we go to the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So as you've heard, my name is Daisy Nyaga, and my story of resilience began with a retrenchment.
Oh.
You know? Yes. And I once worked with the Kenya Airways as a flight attendant for 7 good years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I traveled the world. I enjoyed the good things that the world has to offer.
Yeah.
I had a comfortable life, a life that was a dream of meaning,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we always think that the life will go on like that,
Yes.
you know? You settle into your job and you're thinking, man, for the next 3-5 years, I want to do A, B, C, D.
Mm-hmm.
You have your salary all planned out for, until what you didn't expect happens.
Yes.
So in the year 2012, September, I remember very well, I came from a flight. I was actually working overnight, and this was a flight from Amsterdam,
Mm-hmm.
an 8-hour flight. I was a first class flight attendant, or rather I served the business class.
Mm-hmm.
And on arrival into Nairobi, the first thing you normally do is actually switch on your phone, because you've been away for about 3-4 days. And so many messages come in, you know, people had tried to call you when you were away. And one thing that I remember came on was a message from the company.
Oh.
And it said that there's an urgent meeting that same very day at 2 o'clock. So I'm like, what would be so urgent? You just come from work that they can't wait for tomorrow or after you've rested. And so several other people also received the same message on my flight. And we all got very curious, like, have you got this message? What could it be all about?
Yeah.
So now the rumor started going around that possibly it is a meeting for retrenchment.
Oh.
Because they had a rumor,
Yeah.
but nobody knew when this would happen or who was actually said to go home.
So when the rumor started flying around, what are some of the thoughts you had? Because si ulikuwa umepanga maisha yako, now again retrenchment. What are you thinking at that point?
To be very honest, the previous month I had actually received an award from the company.
Oh.
Which was Excellence Awards.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
As a runner-up. So I kept thinking to myself, even if it's a retrenchment, I think I'll be safe.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I've just won an award last month. But again, I said, well, let's just go, because what is so urgent that they can't let us go home and rest and come the following day. So to cut the long story short, of course, I went home, but I was very disturbed. I kept asking myself, what's so urgent? What's so urgent? I'm so tired, I need to sleep. So back around 1 o'clock, I drove back to the airport and I went to the meeting with a group of about 400 fellow colleagues. And shock upon shock, we were called out into 3 groups.
Yes.
We were told, out of the 3 groups, 1 group will be sent home, 1 group will be redeployed, to like other sections.
Yeah.
And the other group is likely to have their pay cut,
Okay.
We didn't know which group you'd fall into. And the first group was called, so they went out into a different room. They got their letters. So the people that were left behind, we don't know what those letters said. So another manager came for the second batch, and the names were called out, they were led outside. All right? So by the time I was called in the 3rd group, some messages had begun coming from those who had left before us. And they were saying, hey guys, I was in group 1, and we are the ones who've been sent home.
Oh.
So you guys might either be redeployed, or you might have your pay cuts, cut down or something like that. So there was still a bit of hope. But by the time we were called, the 3rd group,
Yes.
the 2nd group was already texting us and saying, hey, you guys, I'm in group 2 and I've also been sent home.
Oh.
So you guys might be the ones redeployed or something.
Yeah.
But at that point, it began sinking that they had possibly tried to use a psychology trick on us.
Everybody was actually being sent home.
And actually, we were all being sent home.
Okay.
So when I saw that letter, the first thing that hit me was shock, anger, a bit of bitterness. I'm like, did we have to go around in circles?
Yes.
Why so sudden? We just come from work. And other people had actually even reported for work that same morning. But they were told, hey, wait a minute, there's a meeting at 2 o'clock.
Were you guys given any reasons? Were you given any reasons why you're being retrenched?
Yes. It's always the company is right-sizing, it is downsizing to prepare for the next phase.
Okay.
Or the economy does not, will not support your roles.
Yeah.
So there's always a reason attached to it.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of a very rough journey downwards.
So tell me, Daisy, you've received your letter, and now
Yes.
you are leaving the premises, or work premises. Unatoka airport ukirudi nyumbani. What are some of the things that are going through your mind? Because your life has been disrupted suddenly, without warning. What are you thinking?
James, that was one very long drive home. Because remember, you're tired, you have jet lag. I had an 8-hour jet lag.
Yeah.
I was angry, I was bitter and very worried for tomorrow. And I kept thinking that maybe there's a mistake, Well, they're retrenching everybody else. I shouldn't have been in that group. I didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of feeling I had. But as soon as I got home, I really didn't even think through the matter because I was too tired. So I slept. So reality hit me the following morning. When I woke up, I looked at the letter again and I kept asking myself, so you mean after my off days,
Yes.
no vehicle will come to pick me to the airport?
No.
Nobody will call me to tell me your next flight is XYZ,
Wow.
And that end month, I will not expect a paycheck.
Yes.
So reality hit me the following morning and it was devastating.
Wow.
I think I can do that. It was devastating.
Did you break down and cry?
I think on the 3rd day or the 4th day is when now everything came together and I know I cried. Because I would look at the kids and I'm like, wait a minute. The kids will send me for these unique toys abroad.
Yeah. Oh.
We may not have the funds.
Yes.
Mommy cannot bring home, those unique things from outside.
How many kids?
And then I'm blessed with 2 girls.
Hallelujah.
Yes, 14 and 9.
Wow.
It's a journey. So that uncertainty, I know 3-4 days into it is when everything hit me. And by that time you're already using up your salary, yeah?
Oh yeah.
You receive your salary within a week, you distribute it, yeah?
Yes. Some of us distribute even before it checks into the account.
Ushaipangia. Ushapangia the next one, yeah?
Very true.
So we left work by 4th. So around the 10th, reality is hitting you because you're like, hey, wait a minute. I'm not expecting a paycheck.
At the end of the month.
And so little left with me.
Wow.
So what am I going to do? So reality started hitting me at that point.
So what is the very first thing you did? Because now you have to adjust how you've known life. What was the very first thing you decided, okay, I have to do this if we are going to continue surviving?
All right, James, at the point I had lost my job, I was actually a member of one of the networking companies called Neolife, but I was a member to use the products. Remember, you're flying a lot of jet lag, so I used to use a lot of supplements to help me manage the time zones. So the first thing that I did, I kept thinking, now maybe this thing I'm always told you can make money, I think now, Namaringo, you don't want to go for the meeting.
Yes.
You're fine. Now you're telling me to go and sell supplements. So at first I thought now that could actually be my saving grace. And so I remember calling one of my leaders and telling him, hey, you know what, Fred? Imagine I've been retrenched. So I don't know, could you just explain how I can make a few extra coins? Na hiyo kitu nasemanga. Because me, I just buy the supplements.
Yes.
And true to the word, that is what I started relying upon.
Okay.
It was the hardest thing to do because remember, you're used to flying.
Yeah.
So even your connections, most of your friends, your colleagues, actually in aviation. So now here I am trying to establish a new network, new friends, wa huku chini, as in huku wa huku Nairobi.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult. But I thank God because through that, I would push and sell one supplement, and omega-3 was my favorite.
Yeah.
I make my 100 shillings, my 150 shillings.
Wow.
And that is what I'm relying on. And it was very difficult.
Okay. Did you guys have to move house? And one of the very first things people think of, okay, we have to downscale. Maybe if the children were in a private school to a Rudishiko public, we moved to a different neighborhood. Did you guys go through all that?
Yes, James. I definitely, I started the downward roll because remember after the retrenchment, the case went to court. We filed a case against the company.
Okay.
So that means none of us could access our monies immediately.
Because you have an ongoing case.
Because we have an ongoing case. So we had to sit through and wait for the case to be settled before we could access the money.
Wow.
So I did not downgrade immediately. I did not move houses because I knew I'll get some money at some point. And we were hoping it would be a month, 2 months, or 3 months down the line. But shock on you, James, with the court processes in Kenya, 2 years down the line.
Atea, 2 years.
Believe me, 2 years down the line. Tunaenda court appearance, sijui mention, sijui stay order, I don't know which order after which. 2 years down the line, the case was still ongoing.
Oh my goodness.
And by that time, remember, you have rent to pay, you have the girls in school, you need to eat. So I had to start downgrading. I think about 5 months down the line, I couldn't keep up with the rent arrears because I was paying the manusu. I would pay half and say, we are still expecting big monies from the court. So don't worry, once the money comes, I'll be able to clear the arrears. But that never happened. So about 5-6 months down the line, the journey was going rough. I had to start moving. So I looked for a cheaper house. And a very cheap house.
Yes.
It's the kind of house I would have never imagined myself, And this house, if you just allow me to describe it just a little bit for the listener, I was living in a 2-bedroom with a master in suite before, but now I couldn't keep up with the rent because the case is ongoing. So I had to look for a house that I could manage with my hustles, with my 100 bob, 200 bob here and there. And this house was rat infested.
Oh my goodness.
And the first 2 nights, I screamed like a baby because me, I had never seen a rat in a house. I mean, like I grew up in a comfortable home, if I may put it like that.
Yes.
I mean, my parents were civil servants, they were comfortable, so I had never had a rough life. You know, the house I got is the house that I could afford. Unasikia pale inatoka kwa neighbor usiku, I don't know, through the trusses.
Yes.
The first 2 nights were horrible. We actually would scream with my girls. One was 4 years then, and the other one was 2.
Oh my goodness.
And we would scream and like, Mommy, I've seen a rat. And I'm like, now what do I do? So tunainua miguu and we are like, inapita inarudi kwa neighbor. And it was just a harrowing experience. Of course, food also I had to downgrade. Remember, I would bring stuff from abroad, you know?
Yeah.
Buy packed food, cereals from outside. I would shop, you know, trolley ile unajaza mpaka ya next month.
Yeah.
But this time around, even shopping for 1 week was a challenge. So I started living day to day. Unapata pesa ya leo, you buy things for that day and trust God the following day.
Wow.
So that is how life became difficult. But the only thing I never changed was my girls' education.
Okay.
We were going to a relatively high-cost private school, but I told God, hata whatever else I'm downgrading, to give me the grace not to affect the girls' education.
Yeah.
That would affect them, their destinies. And I never wanted to take them through that psychological torture.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Shortly, we'll talk about how you began putting pieces back together and how you got yourself out of that situation. If you have any questions for me this morning, 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. We are getting to hear Daisy's story, how she hit rock bottom and how she was able to rebuild from there. If you are at rock bottom right now, it's the best place to be, because there's only one other direction you can go, and that is upward. And I hope this testimonial will be of encouragement to you. It is the Financial Clinic ya Mfuko, and today joining us via Zoom is Daisy Nyaga, sharing her testimony with us. Your comments are already coming in. This one says, wow, Daisy is so hilarious. I can't wait to hear what happened next. Is this a testimony or investment clinic? It's both. You see, I mean, I don't think there's any other who can be of an encouragement to us during this time other than her. You have given us the best guest today. Karibu Sana. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Another comment, this one is from Essie. Essie, you say rock bottom feels like Joseph in the cistern waiting for the chariots to carry him as a slave. Thank God the story doesn't end before God decides it's over. This one says, great conversation, very inspiring. So what would you tell friends when they come to visit you, a new apartment and... this is a good question for you, Daisy. So now that you've downgraded to this rust-infested place, oh my goodness, I can't even begin to imagine what the children thought. Did you have any friends come and visit you, and what was their reaction?
James, like I said, most of my friends were flying friends, you know, in aviation. So at that point, everybody was dealing with their own challenge. So I never had friends who would visit at that point. And honestly, I would not even let them.
Yeah, okay.
And just so you know how bad it was, I also never let even my parents visit.
What?
I just told them I've moved, but you guys, mngoje, staki wageni, I don't want visitors.
Wow.
It's the kind of place, half of my stuff was actually outside my house, you know? One of my sofa sets was outside. There was so much outside, but luckily it had its own compound.
Okay.
There are those houses in Zimmerman.
Yeah.
You know, the old houses?
Yes.
They had their own compound. So half of my belongings were actually outside the house.
Oh my goodness.
It was too much to be fit in. So I never really let anyone visit. It was me, house girl, na watoto.
Okay.
Wengine tuongee kwa simu.
Oh my goodness. So you during this season, you guys developed a very interesting relationship with Noodles. Tell us the Noodles story.
What? James, with the money that I was able to get every single day, I had to look for what we would eat fitting in that budget. So I was always working with a budget of about 100 shillings or 150 at most. And Noodles was the best option. I mean, it was God sent. I would literally wake up in the morning, sit on my bed and say, God, I thank you for the makers of Noodles, the ones which are called Indomie.
Yes.
Thank you, God, for these makers of Indomie, because their price is just right. We will not sleep hungry today.
Wow.
So I never got more money. Noodles was our day in, day out kind of meal. And the kids love them. But I knew it was not healthy for them to be eating
every day.
Day out.
Yeah.
That is what I could afford. For me, I never really developed the taste. I always opted to eat githeri. You know, the street boiled githeri.
Oh, used to buy that one.
For me, I would buy the girls that. For me, I would rather eat githeri, lunch, supper for a whole month.
Wow.
I never really got the taste for noodles to date. I get shivers when I see them. And I tell God, it brings me back bad memories.
Yeah.
But I thank God, because there are those who may be in that season where they may be needing that. Maybe that's their only meal. So things were hard, James.
At that point, did you ever feel like God had abandoned you? Did you ever question God? Why is this happening to me?
Too many times. And if God was a man that could sit, trust you me, I would have boxed him a bit. I'm like, why me? I'm a good girl, you know? I don't do bad things, in quote. I live a generally good life.
Yeah.
Do I deserve this? I'm an excellent worker. I have an award at work. So why me? So I questioned God many times. But I thank God, because it's during that moment that I developed a very close relationship with God. Because we are told when everything else is not working, you run to God, you know?
Yes.
Sometimes, maybe before I was just taking him casually, but this time around I really sought God. I'm the kind of person that began going for morning glory services, you know, because you want to hear an encouragement from morning, lunchtime, evening. I never missed a single service for so many years, you know? Yes.
So at what point did things begin to change for you?
James, things got very bad in 2013. That was like 1 year after the retrenchment. No job was coming. Court case was dragging on and on. Bills and debts were piling up. So in 2014, I opted out of the case. That's now the second year. And the reason I opted out of the case is because I had even surrendered my children's education policy. You know?
Yeah.
You know, I ran out of cash. I borrowed here and there. Rents were piling up. School fees was piling up. So I surrendered one of the education policies, and that sustained me for a few months. It was almost 200,000. So I used that for a couple of months, you know, paying up a few of the arrears. Now, when I saw this money has also ran out and the case is ongoing and there's no end in sight, I said, you know what? I will opt out of the case and rebuild my life from there.
Okay.
So that's the step I took in 2014. But for me to take that, there was a lot of spiritual, I would say a lot of engagement with God. I really sought God's guidance, so to speak. And he kept speaking to me through Isaiah, you know? Behold, I'm doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it?
Yes.
So it's like I was trying to hold on to this job, it's gone. But God is talking to me on this side that he's doing a new thing. Do I not perceive it? So I made up my mind. I opted out of the case. I got whatever finances I got.
Okay. Did that come through? Did that come through immediately?
Yes.
Okay.
The process was quite fast. As soon as I cleared, the money had hit my account within about a month.
Wow.
Yeah, so, it was very fast. So I just went to the workplace. I returned all the uniforms, the suitcases, you know, company materials. And within a month, I had my money in my account and I got a relief. Now it meant I could clear up a few of the piled up bills and debts.
Yes.
And whatever was left, I got into business. Remember, you've come from aviation, there's no any other airline to employ you, right? So I didn't see like I would get any other related job.
Okay.
So I started going to business, and I imported what is called the electric lunchbox. That was in 2015, and that did very well. So life started now picking up.
Okay.
In that space, I was able now to move from that very horrible house, which was God sent at that point.
Yeah.
And I moved houses twice in 1 year.
Wow.
That's how desperate I was to go back to my level, you know, to the kind of life I used. So my business picked very well. I would bring batches of 500 and they would sell out within 2 months.
Wow.
500 sell out within 2 months. I mean, now I'm like, now God, finally.
Yes.
Thank God, because you have, you know, you have had my cry and you've stepped in. So I started rebuilding life, and I rebuilt quite fast.
Where were you selling this lunch boxes? Were you selling them online, or did you have a shop?
Yes, I was selling online, and I also had a shop at Sonalak's house in Moy Avenue.
Okay.
Yes, so whoever made inquiries online and they wanted to see the product before they sold, they would always come to Moy Avenue. They would find me there. And I was among the very first people who got into online business, and business did well.
Yes.
So like God restored me almost Maramoja, not Maramoja, but you know, things just improve very fast. I moved houses twice in 1 year, and just so maybe the viewers appreciate, I ended up at Safari Park Gardens. You know, from that infested house,
Yes.
Safari Park Gardens, within a year of doing business.
Wow.
But while I was still there now, I started planning now, if business continues like this, I'll actually be able to build my home. So now the good thoughts of rebuilding and being restored came up. And I started plotting how I will now buy a car in a couple of months if business continues. Because I'd already disposed my car when I lost my job.
Yeah.
Hey, but James, this life is full of twists and turns.
I'm telling you.
So because the orders were really coming in, I thought to myself, instead of running out of stock every 2 months, why don't I put together all my savings and import a container?
Ooh.
So that now the stock lasts me almost a year, 8 months to 1 year. So that is what the entrepreneur in me told me. And I did exactly that. I got in touch with my supplier, placed my order, I put in my 1 million, na nikangoja miezi mbili for my stocks to arrive.
A whole container.
It was actually 13 CBM, that's like 3/4 of a container.
Yes.
James, my container arrived, it was 3/4, so they actually just filled in a few other items from other business people to fill my container. My stocks arrived at the port of Mombasa. This was end of December 2016, January. And remember, this is a time we are starting now the electioneering campaigns. So cash flows were already much lower in the economy.
Yeah.
You know? And when I put in the stock, I put every single coin. So I forgot that I needed money to clear.
Oh.
That I needed money to keep the office running, what you call working capital. For the 2 months, the order was in progress. So my goods arrive at the port. Daisy has no money to clear. I needed about 400,000 or thereabout. Behind rent for 1 month in the office. And now orders are not flowing in because I was hoping clients will order and prepay.
Yeah.
So now I use that money to
clear.
just clear my goods, and life goes on, you know. But sometimes plans never go as you have put them down. And that ushered me into another sort of a mini rock bottom, because now I got stuck. I have goods that need to be cleared. And that now led me into a bit of debt because I was trying to borrow here and there to clear my goods. And the cash flows are not coming from customers. So to cut the very long story short, I was not able to clear all my goods.
Oh.
I was only able to clear just a very small portion. And when I cleared that, again, business, the flow was not the same.
Yeah.
Because now we have begun campaigns, there was a lot of tension, people are holding on to their monies. And I think that was a very difficult time for me. Now, this one led me into depression.
Oh, my goodness.
The retrenchment one, I never hit depression stage. But now this one, it led me to depression.
Wow.
Because I'm like, I wish I had just ordered, like, my usual 500.
Yeah.
I started now regret. Why did I order so much? And then now business flows just stop. The orders are not coming in as fast as they were.
Yeah.
James, that led me to a couple of debts to clear part of the goods. The other goods to debts, I don't know where they are. That's a story I don't like going back to.
Yeah.
I had to close my shop at Moy Avenue. I had 2 full-time staff, an office admin and a rider.
Yeah.
And a motorbike for the business. So I just had to release them.
Yes.
I sold the bike. And remember, I'm still living in now a very prestigious estate, Safari Park Garden.
Yeah.
Again, I was sustaining all that from the business. So now I began straining again into how to sort the rent and still keep business running.
Okay. We'll find out what happened after that, whether you moved back to the rat-infested house or whether you were able to sustain life there, and how you were able to pick yourself up from there again. I'm telling you, twice beaten. Oh, my goodness. Do you have any questions for my guest today? 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number is 0786 316 316. Maybe this is currently where you are at. I hope this is an encouragement to you. Your SMSs are coming in. This one says, I thought I was at rock bottom. Super encouragement. Sasa nimechomoka. Hustle ni lazima. Thank you, Jemo, for this show. May the Lord bless you. I'm glad that is encouraging for you. And then this one is who? Is it Silas? You say you're listening, and it's a blessing to you. We appreciate that. And then somebody saying, Daisy, Daisy, Daisy. Seriously, you need to write a book about this. We are waiting for that book. I think you've gone before them, eh?
Yes.
You've actually written a book.
I have actually written this retrenchment experience. So the book is titled Beyond 8 to 5. Maybe I don't know if it is.
Yes, Beyond 8 to 5. Yeah. Okay.
Beyond 8 to 5, Critical Lessons by Retrenching. So I have shared my journey there, in what I had to do to go through that process, and my advice to people that are still working, to employees. What is it that they can do while still employed? Before they ever come to that very bad point in life.
That's good.
So the book is available, and God willing, I'll write now about debt, the struggle with debt.
Yes.
So, Sasa hiyo I'm trusting God for very soon.
Okay. So take us back. Biashara imegonga ukuta. What do you do after that?
James, so here I am with a 3-quarter container stuck at the port, no money to clear it. Business orders not flowing, election fever really rising. So everybody's holding on to their monies. Let me just do a quick math for you. My calculation at the point was the profit I would make from that container was about 1.7 million.
Wow.
I had it all figured out.
Yes.
In a span of about 6-7 months. So what I had in mind is as soon as I do that, I'll replace my car. I mean, that is what I was really pushing and working hard. But things never went as I had planned. So I got into a few debts to clear part of the money.
Okay.
All right. And remember now, this is the election year. So people are holding on to their monies. And I cleared some of the goods, but the sales were not as flowing as they were before.
Yes.
So where did that leave me? It meant my income is much lower now than my expenses. I'm in a much more expensive house, but the sales I'm making are not sufficient to sustain me.
Yeah.
So guess what, James? I had to go back. I had to humble myself. Unanyenyekea. I got back to the world of employment.
Okay.
I got a job that was paying me quite well at the time, and I took up that offer.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it with I was going through a depression.
Yes.
You know, because I kept thinking, God, why did you even allow me to place that huge order if you knew this is what was waiting for me?
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to employment, and for a whole year, I think I was still in denial.
Yes.
That my goods are stuck somewhere, my money is stuck somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the point actually at which I finished now writing this book.
Okay.
That was 2018, yes.
Wow.
So now the salary made sure that at least I was able to meet my rent at that other place.
Yeah.
But I was still not settled because my money is out there.
Mm.
And I kept thinking now, how do I rebuild this business? So 2017, the elections, Dizoizo, business was very low. So I just sort of blocked out that thought of my money and my business.
Yes.
And I just immersed myself fully into my now employed job and into writing a book.
Mm.
And it is when I wrote this book that now opportunities began coming up. So many people wanted to be guided.
Wow.
So how do I manage my money so that I don't go through what you went through, you know? So the book became like a new beginning for me.
Yes.
For a different kind of service-based business.
Something you had never even thought about.
I had never thought about, because people will call me, come and speak to our group, you know, come and speak to my employees. And I thought, hey, wait, God, just a minute. I don't even need capital to go and speak, you know?
Yes.
So slowly I began forgetting about my 1 million and I reconciled myself. I forgave myself for the rushed maybe decisions that I took.
Yeah.
But God has used now my retrenchment experience to launch me into a financial training kind of business.
Oh, wow.
Which is you know? So that is how God works. He has it all figured out. He's the master planner, even when you don't see what he's planning ahead of you. And so that is how I have found myself here today through this book. And after launching the book, of course, God has kept lifting me up. I moved from that other job to my previous role, which is a much more, I would say, more engaging role, where I'm heading operations for a finance company. And I bless God because, again, my bosses are proud of me having been the author of this book.
Wow.
So it is also a blessing. And it's at such a point that I tell people that whatever it is that you're going through, it never makes sense when you're going through it.
Yeah.
But a year or a few months ahead, you will look back and see that actually, God, you had this together. You had it all planned out. But, you know, you can't burst the bubble. He can't tell, you know, I'm making you go through this because I want you free.
Right.
So you just have to trust the process and go through the process and hold on to him.
In fact, I'm just wondering, Daisy, if you had to choose again, with all that you've gone through, knowing what you know and what you're doing now, if you had to choose between continuing to do what you're doing and going back to your airline job, which one would you choose?
Oh God, I would never go back. I would keep doing now, following the path that the Lord has opened for me.
Yes.
And I always say, I thank God for that experience, even for that airline job.
Yes.
Because when you're flying to different places, you're interacting with people of different cultures.
Yeah.
There's something it does to you. It opens up your mind, you know?
Yes.
It shows you possibilities.
Exactly.
At the same time, helping you appreciate your home, you know? East or west is best. So I thank God for that beginning of my life.
Wow.
But I'll never go back to it, yes.
You know, I'm just thinking through your story, and I can see the hand of God from beginning to end. You know, because even just like you're saying with the airline job, you are exposed to possibilities. You know, different ways people live their life. And if I'm to be honest, what I'm thinking is that, you know, God God wanted you to talk to people about possibilities, but he had to get you to a place where you experience what majority of people experience, so that you're not speaking from a bubble. You're speaking about things you've personally gone through. You know what it feels like not to have rent. You know what it means when you have children and you don't know where the next meal is coming from. And so I would feel safe talking to somebody like you about money, because you know what you're talking about. You've been there, you've done that, you have the t-shirt.
Yes, James. And indeed, like if I can just run down the 5 chapters in my book, just the title.
Yes.
Because I know this will connect with somebody. My first chapter says that your employer is not your mommy or daddy.
Ooh.
It's the truth.
Yes.
You tell it as it is. In the second chapter, I tell people that you need to stretch yourself and test your elasticity. How much more can you do? What is on the inside of you? What are your talents? And how can you make them work for you? You know? I also tell people to maximize the opportunities at the workplace.
Yes.
And if you just allow me an extra minute in this, many people complain about their jobs or their biasharas, you know, oh, it is this or it is not this. But right there in that job, right there in that business, no matter how small, there are other opportunities that you can explore.
Yes.
So I challenge people to look through those opportunities. In the 5th chapter, I challenge people to accept and adjust to change. I mean, look at how we are now doing interviews. I'm no longer in your studio.
Imagine.
We are doing it via Zoom. So everybody must accept the changes that are happening in the world, and you must adjust to them very fast. Don't keep saying, oh, I want to go back to the new normal. I mean to the old normal.
Yeah.
It is what is now, what is it that we need to do at this point, and adjust to it. So whatever it is that you're going through, accept, number one, accept you've lost your job, accept your biashara may not pick or may not go in the direction you had intended, then adjust to that situation. And finally, my last chapter, I always tell people, you need the faith to start all over again. Sometimes don't hang on to what is gone. It is gone, it is gone.
Yeah.
What you need is the faith to start all over again and tell God, you know what? I just need you with me.
Yes.
And I am willing to follow your steps. And once you do that, trust you me, you'll be amazed at the new world you had never imagined for yourself.
Wow.
Yes.
I have Frank Gitonga from Kalegi Cars, Mombasa. He says, thank you a lot, Pastor James, for bringing in Daisy Nyaga to share her story. I've known her for barely 1 month now, and I've just done business with her, and for sure, she's quite an inspiration to me. Thanks a lot, and may God bless you.
Oh, wow. I'm so humble because that's a client.
Yeah.
Wow. I just gave him some business, I think 2 weeks ago, and I thank God.
Wow, that's good. That's good.
Yes.
Daisy, I'm out of time for today. What's your parting shot? What would you tell, especially those individuals who have lost their jobs in this season, or they've had to close down their businesses, or maybe even taken a pay cut? What would you tell them as we wrap up?
All right. If you've already lost a job or you've had to close your business, I'll tell you it is not the end of life. Look at what you have in your hand.
Yes.
What is it that you have at the point you are closing? Dedicate that to God and tell God, you know what? I have this little, like a mustard seed. Guide me and show me where to start. For everybody, look at talents or skills that you already have and challenge yourself how you can make them earn you a little bit more income. So skills or experience you already have, or talents or hobbies, start working that out and trust God to show you the way. And then very important, it's a proverb we learned in English. Make hay while the sun shines.
Yes.
It may not be shining as bright as it was before, but always endeavor, always endeavor to put something small aside. One, towards your emergency fund. That's like a savings.
Yes.
And also to invest. And when we invest, you're putting money to work for you.
Yes.
So let's not eat with 10 fingers. What my pastor says, eating with 10 fingers, unakula kila kitu.
Yeah.
Always, it doesn't matter how little. You make 100 bob, put aside 20 bob. You make 10 G's, put aside 2,000.
Yeah.
1K, weka kwa emergency fund, the other 1K, invest in safe assets, T-bills, money market fund, treasury bonds if you can. So make hay while the sun shines.
Great.
So that the day it rains, you have a small umbrella that can cushion you from the wetness.
Wow. Daisy, thank you very much. You've really encouraged us. I'm getting so many responses. People say they are encouraged. Somebody says that's a message for Sisi Walimu or private schools because we are stuck now. That has really encouraged them. Thank you, Daisy. We'll definitely need to have you back to give us more insights into personal finance because that's now the area where you are thriving. Asante. God bless.
Thank you so much, Pastor James. I thank God. Asante pia.
We are out of time for the financial clinic for today, but something I must mention. Imagine if Daisy had not written that book. Just try and imagine if she had not written that book. What am I saying? I'm saying we have things on the inside of us sometimes. We are waiting for solutions out here. Na saa zingine solution iko huku ndani. If she had not documented her lessons through her experiences, it would not have opened the door that she's thriving in now. The same applies to you.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.